Good evening and welcome to another edition of Chris Peplinski's movie blog. Uh, and in the continuing discussion of the movies that are nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, I figured the one that I thought would be of interest to talk about is the movie The Post, which happens to be a true story, based on the Washington Post, you know, publishing the Pentagon papers, which were classified documents, that disclose the information regarding the United States involvement, you know, in the Vietnam War, which spanned like 30 years from like the administration of Truman and Eisenhower to Kennedy to Johnson and of course Richard Nixon. And of course, Meryl Streep, plays, one of the characters named Katharine Graham, who inherited the Washington Post after the suicide of after her husband. And then, of course, there's, Tom Hanks, who plays, Ben, Bradley in the movie, who works, who works for her. And then, of course, when the Washington Post comes across, you know, classified information, from the Pentagon Papers regarding the U.S.'s, long history and possible cover-up in the Vietnam War, they decide to, publish, those papers, feeling that it's, their job as reporters, to tell the truth and spread the information out to the people to hold those accountable. I would say, I mean, the movie is very relevant, politically wise, since I know back in that time, Nixon was known as a hothead, and of course, that kind of crazy how, what was going on in the events of the post kind of holds, relevance to what's going on today in today's politics. I mean, in terms of the story itself, it kind of reminds me very similar to the Spotlight movie, which won best picture based on its subject matter of, the Catholic Church and the molestation of the young boys by priests, which was very, very disturbing, you know, but something that was, of course, that needed to be discussed in that particular film. I would say, in terms of the film itself, if I think and I believe, in a way, it kind of deserves the Best Pick nomination since it's a very, relevant, and I would say rather cool to see how, working in a newsroom, process and daily, life of being a reporter was like, which I thought was one of the cool aspects, in the film. And of course, Meryl Streep's up for her 21st, nomination as Best Actress. I mean, would I say if this particular film is worthy of her nomination? I would say yes and no, since she seems to be good in just about anything that she can do. But I kind of felt, the character was, I mean, of course, her Catherine character was, felt a little timid and I wouldn't say shy, but, she was a good person, but with morals. But, of course, when she was entrusted to do her abilities in I guess, a man-dominated, profession, she manages, to prove that, just because she's a woman doesn't mean she can't do the same job as a man would running the Washington Post. And of course, the topic of sexism is, still something that's still ongoing even in today's society. So I guess in a sense, that would make it a very relevant, film that I guess deserves its nomination. But I would say it's too bad that Tom Hanks, uh, didn't get the nomination, for lead actor in the role since, he was quite good in the movie, even though some people might say he might be phoning it in and probably say his other performances were better. I guess the same thing could be said to Meryl Streep since I thought she was quite awesome in the, Iron Lady, even though that movie wasn't that good. And I thought she was really fantastic in The Devil Wears Prada. And I know a lot of people are probably surprised that Steven Spielberg didn't get nominated for best, director since, of course, what made him famous was the movie Jaws back in 1975, and of course, out of the four Jaws movies that they did, the first two I think are the best, but it's just my opinion. So I would definitely say, yeah, I mean, while the post can drag a little bit and suffer from a little bit of, pacing wise, but it shows that sometimes doing the right thing, even for journalists, can be hard to hold the government accountable for their actions. And I would say I find it very commendable that they try to do the right thing, even in the harshest of circumstances. So yeah, I would definitely say to those that haven't seen it, it's definitely worth taking a look, and I would like to hear what other people had to say about the movie. Thanks again for watching.